Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ademola Badmos. If this is your first time, do not forget to like and subscribe. And like I said, like I mentioned in the previous videos, please watch the Java and Selenium videos first before you begin the Java and Selenium Cucumber videos, so it will be easier to follow, because some important topics have been discussed earlier on. Once again, do not forget to like and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell. So moving on, we want to create our environment variable. We have discussed the importance of it in the previous video. So what we need to do now is get into our Maven repository, and pick the env file, because we've been using the Maven approach. So we would get the .env Java. That's the one that we need. Yeah, this will work. And this is just fine. I don't need the comments. I click into it and I've already copied it that way. Come back here. So in my POM XML, I will add this as a dependency. Okay, good. Yep. This should reload itself. If it doesn't, just like we did before, cannot reconnect. I have okay, now it's connected. I think at some point I had an internet issue, so I think we have a environment variable. Now that we've installed the environment variable, what do we need to do? Let's assume that we want to put all our usernames and password. Let's say we want to put that into the environment variable. What we'll do is basically create an environment variable file right here inside this place. We'll create it here. There are ways you can create it. You can right click on your project and click on new and new file and put a .env. This way the IntelliJ will probably ask you which type of extension you want to store this or not. If you already have a plugin that supports env, which means you can also do this. Come to your settings and go to plugins, and in the marketplace search for .env. So it means anyone here, I don't use it anyways, anyone here that supports an env file, you can just have it installed and it will work for you. Usually I go with the one that has the most downloads. This has like 6.9 million downloads, so we could just try it and install it. I actually don't use it, so we can restart the IDE. Yep, because it worked with it. So the IDE is restarting, and there we go. So we have that plugin working for us. So we could go like this. I will show you the two ways to install it, and click on new file. You could go like this and click on new file and type .env. So this is seen, or we could delete this. For Mac users, when this is deleted, you can come to your terminal. Make sure you're inside the particular folder. We're in Java BDD, so you can do touch.env. Okay, and it will be created just like that. So we can lift this. Let's first copy it. if we do this, we will need to make a lot of changes here, and I want this to be as fast as possible. So let's just use the URL as an example. Let's use the URL as an example. Oh, part of our cleanup, we forgot to remove this because we are not using them anymore. So you could remove this. Let's format the code, format the file, rearrange, no. Yeah, it has been done. And so let's get back to what we want to do. So let's say it's just the URL we want to use. So we don't need to make a lot. We don't even need this anymore at this point. We don't need all this anymore in our codes because we are calling them directly in our feature file. So let's put the URL here. Where's the URL again? Let's copy it. So let's bring it here. We'll change this, and it can be represented this way. This is all we need, right? We could also add a comment here to, you can add a comment to just show that something is happening here, and saying saving sensitive data. Okay, so we call it URL. We'll still use the word URL. So in our login page steps where we launch the URL, so instead of having selector as URL, we could just, the first thing we will need to do is we need to get the env file to work for us. So we say .env, give it 1, would be equal to .env.load. So this essentially is saying that whatever is in the env file should be loaded and be stored in the variable env. Basically, that's just the interpretation. So in our setup, we can come here and say, okay, string, we might not even need to say any string. So instead of getting the URL, we can just say get env.get, and inside here we put URL. This will still work for us. As you can see, immediately we put the URL, it also brought out the value of the URL for us, which is this. So this way we have gotten the URL, and that's all. If we run our code again, it should still work. It will still be launching the page. I just want to introduce you to how to use the .env file, how to use an environment variable file. So as you can see, it's still launching the page because it gets the URL from the .env file. And we can do an additional cleanup now. We can do an additional cleanup by going into our selectors, because we do not need this anymore, and remove it. So with this, I think I've done justice to everything concerning Java, Selenium, and Cucumber, and as far as the environment variable is concerned. In the previous series, I've already introduced us to how to push your Java codes to the how to push your JavaScript, your Java codes, not JavaScript, your Java codes, because if I use JavaScript, I'm calling another programming language. So how to push your Java codes to your Git repository. And at this point, it's also important to mention that since you have sensitive data in your env, so your .env file must not get into your Git repository, so you have to include it in your .gitignore file. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you would know when I drop the videos on Python and Selenium and Robot Framework and other types of automation I want to touch base on. Bye bye.